Hi, Stan.
Hey, Marshall.
How you doing?
Good.
Here we
Welcome
are.
back to my studio.
Yep. Ready to go? Fully clothed?
Kind of.
How do you mean?
You requested that I come in partially nude.
We were not going to say anything about that.
Actually, we were. It's in our notes.
No.
Yes.
No.
You told me I have to be barefoot.
I didn't tell you any such thing.
Well, then why are you wearing whatever that is?
We were not going to say anything about this.
Oh, we weren't?
No.
This was just going to be... Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
I have a complaint.
I know it.
No, I have a complaint
Go
about...
ahead.
You said you're going to wear boots. And you're not wearing boots.
Well, no, these aren't boots.
I don't know. Maybe they're technically called boots.
You should be wearing knee-high boots.
Yeah. When you said, Stan, you go barefoot, I'll wear boots. I wasn't imagining that. Yeah. I was imagining boots like the boots that are meant for walking. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I know just what these boots will do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those boots.
We have officially begun. Let's just roll the thing and get out of this.
And so I'm not taking these flip-flops off until you wear boots.
It's the Draftsman Show. Yeah.
How awkward was that intro?
Not any more awkward than our other one.
So very awkward.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It's our staple.
What have you been up to?
The usual. Teaching.
Teaching.
Yeah. Sleeping.
Eating.
Reading.
Not really. You don't eat.
I don't eat much, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many meals a day do you have?
This is too personal a question. I'm not interested
That's
in telling
funny
you
how
about
you
how many
think
meals
that's
a
a
day.
personal question.
Yeah, but what difference does it make?
I don't know. It's the same as me asking you what kind of shoes you're wearing. It's like, it doesn't matter, but you're still going to answer.
I want to know when you eat. I want to know what you eat. I want to examine. No. I'll tell you, I have been reading a good book.
I don't care about your book.
I know you don't care about it. It's just the food thing.
Yeah.
Okay. I love peanuts and almonds and cashews and pumpkin seeds and raisins and dried fruit and fresh fruit and bananas. I eat a banana every day. I
Healthy snacks.
Oh yeah. They're just great. They're candy.
Do you ever have a meal?
Yeah, I have meals.
I've never seen it.
Yeah, well, we haven't really. Well, we've eaten meals together. We've eaten at restaurants together.
Yes, and you take out a yogurt from your pocket.
Oh no, not in a restaurant. Not in a restaurant. No. But I usually order when we go to restaurants. I usually order salads.
I don't remember this. All I remember is I went up to Orange County. We went out for lunch. Yeah. I ordered a sandwich, and you took out a yogurt from your pocket.
I had a yogurt with me, and I figured, well, why not? Okay, now look, people are not tuning into this podcast to learn about Marshall's eating habits.
I don't know. I think they're enjoying this.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
All right, let's get to the real topic.
Yeah, so I get to tell you about the book. We'll wait about the book. The book.
The book. Who cares? That could be your thing.
That's right. That'll be my thing.
All right. Oh, man. So, okay. The topic this week is we had a person email us. It's another email type thing. And we thought it was a really good question. So we're going to make an episode on it.
Remind me of the question.
It's pretty much about, like, is copying cheating, imposter syndrome, that kind of thing. So I'm going to read the question.
This one question had both of those things?
No, not really, but that's where we're going to go with it.
Okay, yeah, let's do it.
It'll lead to those things.
Okay.
I have things to say.
I'm interested.
Okay. You've already read this.
Go ahead and read it.
Do you remember?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, cool.
Go ahead.
Greetings, Stan. He forgot about you. He forgot about you.
But he knows I'm here.
And he mentioned this could be for the podcast. I'm a beginner from CIS, which I think is a group of countries in like former Soviet Union or something like that.
Okay. So he's from your area.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a problem with reference images and copying from them. It will be easier to understand if I start with an example. So here it is. I don't have sufficient skill for drawing trees. Actually, almost for everything, but let's take trees for now. I need to paste a tree in my artwork. It's interesting how he uses the word paste. So I Google an image of a tree and draw from this reference. The problem here is that every time I do it, I feel so bad about my art and skill because it looks like I can draw nothing without reference images. Also, it feels like I don't draw my artwork. It feels more like I just copied, and my artwork is just a bunch of copies. But I had an idea in my head, and I wanted just to recreate it as an artwork. So I couldn't do it without copying because of low skill. Who is an artist? A guy who does good copies? Yeah, he asked that. Of course, I have to copy to learn, I guess, but the feeling that I just copied is so bad. So I think that I am a fake artist. Is it so? Do I need to change my approach, or what should I do? By the way, as I mentioned, I'm from CIS. You moved from Ukraine in a childhood, but I'm a 20-year-old adult, and I want to become an artist. What should I do? Stay and learn here or move to Europe or USA? Now, I think that art is more developed there, and so is education. Is it correct, or everything depends only on me? Thank you. Best regards.
Wow, that's a biggie. That's a big question. There's a lot in there. And he's asking for life advice. Should I move to Europe? Should I move to the US?
I mean, I think that there's good schools closer to him than... Well, maybe Europe is actually pretty close. But the U.S. is far. You don't have to move to the U.S.
Yes,
There's plenty.
And you have got the best teachers in the United States online who are available to you, and more so every year. So you've got access to the education.
You have access to the information.
Information.
Yes.
Right. Maybe not the training.
Not yet.
But that's happening.
But it does depend on him a lot.
What do we get to first? How do you want to handle this question?
His main question was copying photographs. First of all, I don't think that you're a fake because you are good at copying. There's a lot of artists who are artists that all they do is copy photographs. And some people might not like that, but other people do. And who's to say that that's not art? You don't sound like someone who likes that. So it doesn't matter what other people think. You don't like it. And so you just need to develop the ability to draw from imagination. Or instead of just blatantly copying this one tree, Google many trees and take pieces of it that you like and combine them in ways that you like instead of just copying one single tree. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Come up with your own tree based on what you learned from these other trees. Start, baby steps. You can literally copy parts of trees, but now you got your own thing.
Yeah.
As you do this, you'll start using reference less and less because you're learning how to just make things in your head instead of just copying literally. Oh, and then after you've created this tree out of many trees, try to draw it again, but not looking at any trees. Just draw another tree out of your head.
Yeah. I see two avenues here. One is what you mentioned, that copying to learn. It's good to copy to learn. It's good to copy so that you heighten your sensitivity to values. All the stuff we talked about in that first episode. The first episode about photorealism, attempting photorealism. That's a part of heightening sensitivity. But then do you want to do that all along and then just add technique to it? Or do you want to work out of imagination? Yes, you do. So you've answered it, is that you've got a trajectory that is not to continue doing this, but to learn to do it out of imagination. And Stan summed it up. And most of these podcasts, at least half of them, have been aiming in directions of teachers who are going to take that to. Again, I keep referring to Andrew Loomis's Fun with a Pencil, because that was the book that teaches you to think like a cartoonist and invent out of imagination. And we've talked about a lot of the previous episodes have been about that. Now, the vilifying of photo bashing.
Yeah.
Photo bashing is almost always used as a negative term.
Yeah.
And there are some issues with photo bashing. If you are taking other people's photos and putting them into your artwork when you do not own the photo, and then you are profiting from that, that is a particularly inadvisable thing to do. But we're going to put that aside and say, what if you shoot your own photos and you hire your own models? This is what you did for all of the anatomy stuff. You built your own skeleton and everything. It took years to do that. So you say, look, I am going to be using reference, but this is mine.
Yeah.
I developed it.
Yeah, I did my paintings that way too. I would take my own photographs.
Yeah. And, Maxfield Parrish was a photo basher, and he made a good living, and he's got some stature in illustration history. It's not necessarily a bad thing, though I know some people look down on it. I have a colleague who has made a great deal of money working on major motion pictures, the big $100 million ones, and he composites photos and puts together environments and creates moods out of them that are so emotionally evocative that they pay him the big bucks to photo bash. But he's a good photo basher. He's got a good sense of composition and how to arrange light. And sometimes he'll do a night scene and then the same basic line drawing, but he'll turn it into a day scene and change the colors. So it is not necessarily a bad thing to work with photographs. What is it? It's compositing. You're essentially taking something that happened in front of a camera, and then you are making the hardest kinds of decisions, which is how to arrange them and light them and color them and how to handle the edges and make it so that they work as compositions, which is related to the word compositing. You're compositing photographs rather than bashing photographs. So yes, let's do that and say that is a legitimate area of composing a picture, is to use photographs to do it. Now,
Absolutely.
what else about it?
A little side trip. Another common question I get that's very similar to this is tracing. It's similar because people are consider it as like cheating, right? There's certain things that are known as just like, don't do this, it's cheating. Someone's gonna find out you're doing this. And it's like, no, there's no rules other than laws, like, copyright law. You're not cheating unless you're breaking the rules. And if there's no rule against tracing, then there's no rule to break and there's no cheat. It's not cheating. Now, you could be cheating yourself out of improving faster. Because if you're tracing, you're not working on your proportions, you're not developing your eye. But it's not cheating like someone's going to call you out and say, ha, gotcha. Now you must quit.
You're
not an artist anymore.
You're headed toward jail, court time a kid.
You're out of here.
Your artist card is revoked.
Yeah. There's no such thing. But yeah, don't do it. I mean, it's just a bad idea if you're a student trying to get better at proportions and your way to do that is to trace.
Yeah.
Right.
Tracing speeds everything up.
Except improvement.
Good. Good.
Yeah.
That's it.
So I used to trace, and I came up with rules for myself. And I thought, okay, I will allow myself to trace on 2 occasions. I can trace my own drawing. For example, if I did a sketch and I want to now transfer it to a canvas, I could trace it. I drew that. Whatever. It's not like I have to draw it again just because to prove someone I could do it twice.
That'd be compulsion. Yeah.
Or I allowed myself to trace commissioned portraits if I needed to do it fast.
Yeah.
Because I know I can draw it by now. I know that if I spend several hours, I could measure all out and I could get it accurate and it'll be all there. But I hate doing commissioned portraits. I do not want to spend that time measuring out my proportions.
Yeah.
And so I would trace them.
Okay.
I would let myself do that.
And then you can get it exact that way.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Some people think that's cheating, but I don't give a shit.
Yeah. The thing about why you don't trace so that you can develop a skill. And when I teach composition, one of the main things people do in a composition training course is they look at a variety of great masters of tenebristic composition. Tenebrism means that you've separated lights and darks in a dramatic enough way to where the light and dark pattern holds the power of the composition. So it's what most of the Renaissance artists and Howard Pyle and C. Wyeth, Frank Brangwyn, all that bunch would do. So it's great to learn composition from those because it's easier. And you copy these and maybe put a 10-minute limit, not more than an hour, on something that you work at about the size of a business card, not bigger than a playing card, maybe as small as a postage stamp, and see if you can get that value pattern in there. Now, the way that you're going to get good at composition is by understanding that light and dark pattern and what the artist's strategy was with it. But at the same time, if you take the time to do this by hand, you are also developing hand-eye coordination to control the shapes. And some students, in order to get through a class quickly, will put those masters into Photoshop and just put a filter on it that separates the lights and darks extremely, and they learn nothing or almost nothing. They do learn to see the pattern of that masterpiece as exaggeratedly no-tan or turned into 3 or 4 tones, which has value, but they gain no hand skills that way. And I remember when I was 18 years old, and there was a woman in the community college that I went to who she had the ability to look at anything, any artwork, and in a matter of just line like that, line like that, line like that, line like that, divide that thing up, and the proportions were right on the money. And I couldn't do anything like that, but I worked on it for a few years until I started to be able to look at it, see it in halves, see it in thirds, see diagonally where things fit, and developed some skill. It was hard earned, but now I could contain that a little bit by doing it over and over and over.
Yeah.
That's a useful skill to have, is to be able to see the proportions. Now, I think I might be veering us off from where we were.
No, I don't think so.
The idea here is tracing is something you should do all the time to save time, but you should also have a time in your training where you don't trace so that you get the skill.
And I would trace much less as a student. You could do it more when you're a professional to save time. I know many professionals that project because they already know they can do it if they don't project. They're just speeding it up because they need to make money.
So first objective is to get skill.
Yeah.
A later objective is to get the job done.
Yeah.
Okay, now what else?
All of these things are related to imposter syndrome.
How?
The idea of cheating, or that I'm a fake, I will be found out because that I'm doing these things. It all comes from a feeling of inadequacy, self-doubt.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. And people like you mentioned in the previous episode, Norman Rockwell
going through imposter syndrome.
Like everyone, everyone has these feelings, right? Like
if a person never had them, they would be a prick. They'd be conceited. If they never doubted that I can do it, there'd be something wrong, I think.
Or it's not even the doubt of being able to do it. It's the doubt is like, who am I to be allowed to do this?
Yeah.
Like I don't have an art license, right? Like, art license. Like no one gave me permission to be an artist. Like why should I be able to do this sort of thing? Like it's like you don't need permission. And just acknowledging that this is a feeling that most people have, I think is important. And acknowledging it as a thing is important, because once you realize these thoughts are happening, you can acknowledge that, oh, okay, this isn't real. This is just coming from fear and self-doubt, and it's not a good thing. And I just, and you set it aside.
Let's flip it around a little bit, though, and see imposter syndrome as a potentially good thing. Because it does come from doubt. It does come from just enough fear to what if I can't do this? Mm-hmm. And even in this last year, I have a student who started studying with me when she was 16. She was in high school, and she went through the junior college classes, then went on to Concept Design Academy, and then she's become a celebrated character designer for television. And she came back to speak to my class this last year. Well, I have another student, about maybe 21, 22, is one of the most technically competent students that I've had. And I said, how are you feeling about this during this presentation? And she said, I have imposter syndrome, because she's seeing someone who is so good. I thought, of all people to be feeling imposter syndrome, you. And it has been in this last summer that she has her skill became just remarkable in this last year. She now made her living this summer. She's really young, and I think that awareness, I'm not sure if I'm good enough, that self-doubt is part of what propels us.
Yeah, it's perfectionism is part of that.
Yes, and also imposter syndrome can be a stage. Why not have it as a stage? A little bit of doubt, and then say, I will drop this feeling when I can do this. And then when you are at that level where you can do this, you may have a surge of confidence.
Well, because it can be debilitating. It can prevent you from doing things because you feel like you're not worth it.
Yeah.
Even if it's pretty obvious that you are worth it.
Yeah.
People have the feelings that they're not. I know many professional artists who are amazing and they still feel like they're not capable of doing things. It's really weird, and I see it holding them back quite a bit.
Yeah. It's the balance between some people. Courage may not be courage; it may just be stupidity. That you just stepped out into the line of fire and didn't know that there was anything there. But then if that's the case, you start to find out that fear is there for a reason, which is to protect me and to find the balance that I've got to feel the fear and do it anyway.
Yeah. But in things like drawing and painting, not in war, it's okay to fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
You're not going to get shot in the head, you know?
Yeah.
You just might piss someone off, but a lot of times the people that have imposter syndrome aren't as bad as they think.
That's right.
And so they actually don't make the mistakes once they try it.
Imposter syndrome is awareness that I might not be good enough.
Yeah.
It may be overinflamed, but it's there. You know, in teaching watercolor, it was a common thing because watercolor can be scary because the color, the water in the color is going to have it do its own thing. And one of the first things that many of the students, especially as they get over a certain age, it may be that when you're doing watercolor when you're 6 or 7 years old, you don't have any fear, but when you get older, this might do its own thing and be bad. A lot of it is getting past that fear by doing a whole bunch of little watercolors over and over and letting them do what they do. But we had a student, he must have been in his early 20s, who did remarkable little watercolor comps, and they were so effortless, they were so daring. And the students would look at what he did. How do you do it? And he said, well, I figure what's the worst that can happen? He had it in perspective that you don't need to really worry that much that your 10 or 15 minute watercolor comp.
Right.
What have you got to lose?
Exactly.
Okay, I don't know whether we're
He wasn't
helping.
worried about getting shot in the head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you did a bad watercolor and it's going to cost you your life.
Yep. I think the goal here is to help people deal with imposter syndrome because so many people are dealing with it. And I think the biggest thing is to acknowledge it and let it happen and be aware of what it actually means when you're feeling that way. Like, it doesn't mean that you're not actually good enough. All it means is that you're striving for greatness or you're striving to be really good. And you can always be better. And that's a great thing to have big goals. But it doesn't mean that you're not worth it. And as long as you remember that this feeling is not based on fact, that it's just a feeling, I think you'll be okay. You just have to constantly remind yourself that and take a breath and be like, okay, yeah, I remember. This is a thing that our brains do to us.
Yeah. It might help to have somebody in your life also who can tell you whether the imposter syndrome is valid or not.
Yeah. A mentor, a friend, a teacher.
Mm-hmm. Well, we've got four. Let's do the four. Do you know the Punnett square, the four categories of how things go? You can have the person who is confident their work is good, and it is. The person who's confident their work is good, and it isn't. You can have the person who's afraid that their work is bad, and they're right. And you can have the person who's afraid that their work is bad, and they're wrong.
Right.
There's a story from that album, Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd, that Claire Torrey, who did The Great Gig in the Sky, it's at the end of the first side, and it's this emotional, no lyrics to it, it's just kind of wailing singing.
Can we get your impersonation of that?
No, you can't get my impersonation of it, not without preparation. But she did this performance that everybody knows. If you know that album, it really, really worked. And I think it was Dave Gilmour who said that when she came out of the studio, having done that, when she came out of the microphone booth, she apologized. I think she was kind of shattered of what a horrible performance she did. And they didn't know what she was talking about. But the whole time she was doing it, apparently, there was a demon in her head saying, this sucks. You're not doing it as good as it could be. It's not good. And she poured herself into it anyway. And nobody ever listened to that and thought that there was anything wrong. It was all going on in her internally.
Yeah.
That's an example of someone who's afraid that it's bad when it wasn't.
Yeah.
That sounds like you, Marshall, after we record these.
Yes. Literally, you are that square.
I'm Claire Torrey.
Yeah.
You or you?
Huh?
Where do you fit on the Punnett square? Do you have imposter syndrome?
Of course. Not as bad as some people. It doesn't debilitate me.
Yeah.
It doesn't prevent me from doing things. Mm-hmm. But of course, I have that feeling. Like it's like, who am I to be teaching this anatomy class when the people before me are Richey and Goldfinger and Bridgman?
Yeah.
Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
They knew so much more than I did.
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel like crap. Like I'm not gonna do a good job.
Yeah.
But
I'm here to tell you.
You got to do it anyway.
I'm here to tell you that Richey and Goldfinger did not do as good of videos as you do.
They didn't make any videos.
I know.
Thank you, Marshall. Thank you so much.
Glad I can be a friend.
Yeah. Doesn't help.
Okay, well, let me think for a moment. Let me think for a
Okay.
moment about this Punnett square thing.
The Punnett square, I don't think you're like one of 4 squares. I think you can be all of them at different times and at different moments.
Every 3-year-old can sit at the piano and bang around at it and think that I've just made beautiful music. And then they become, do you know the levels of unconscious incompetence and all of that?
Yeah. Zone de 4. When in her interview, I interviewed her, I don't know, when did we release that? A few months ago? Or did we release it? Yeah, we did.
We
it was
released
a few months ago. We released it. And she told me about it.
We all start out with unconscious incompetence. That means we don't know how to ride a bicycle, and we don't know that we don't know how to ride a bicycle. I see somebody riding a bicycle, looks easy. The next step is conscious incompetence, which is always connected with pain, because we're going to find out we suck at it.
Yeah.
Then we work, then training is in between there, and then we reach conscious competence where we have to think about it, but we can do it. That's a grown-up feeling. That's the step out of imposter syndrome. I can do this. I'm a grown-up. And then as we continue to do it, then the skill is assimilated into us, and we are unconsciously competent. And that's where creativity can flourish.
Yeah.
Because the technical stuff is out of the way.
That's when you can juggle 100 balls at the same time because you're not actually doing it. Your mind's doing it for you subconsciously, and you're focused only on solving the problem, not on the technical things.
Yeah.
Not on the, how do I hold my pencil?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But isn't it a great feeling when you first get conscious competence? I'm sure you felt it, where you say, I'm a pro. I can do this.
I don't think it's like, again, it's not like you move from one step to the next. It's like in many areas, I'm consciously competent. And then in many areas, I'm unconsciously competent in the basics that I've trained for two decades now, I guess. Those things I don't think about. But the things I am consciously competent in, those are things I'm currently focused on.
Yeah.
And there's things I'm consciously I'm all for.
Well, yeah, of course. Life is always messier than any grid or paradigm we put on it, which is why we put these paradigms on it, is try to make some sense of it. But I thought that was a really useful one to recognize I'm in this stage, so let me be aware that I'm going to go out of that stage and into another. And yeah, it is very slippery. But this is in response to him about the photo bashing and I feel guilty about it. And am I really an artist? Who is an artist? I don't know whether we wandered away from...
We did, absolutely, but I think it was worth it.
Okay. I'll trust you, because I'm experiencing imposter syndrome right now.
I know you are. You're always experiencing... I could tell when you have this like... you have this smile and you're not sure about yourself and your shoulders are going in.
glad you're a master.
How do you feel now, Marshall?
I'm
Are you
vacillating
consciously
between all four corners.
You did great.
Hope this was helpful.
Helpful?
Helpful. Imposter syndrome.
You are a fake.
Can't pronounce.
You are a fake.
I feel terrible about it.
It's not imposter syndrome. It's pure imposter. Imposter.
It's happening to you now.
Oh, man,
we're
it's
ripping
contagious.
each other, man.
It's contagious. We're both fakes.
Okay, good.
We've lost our host.
Next question.
We've lost our host. Okay.
Okay, yeah. So we're in the
Now we can do a voicemail.
we're in the ripe stages. Yes. Let's
Ripe
continue.
stages.
Yeah. Let's regroup.
We're in our adolescence.
Breathe in, breathe out.
No, not
Self-
adolescence.
Affirmations.
What is a ripe stage? It's when you're done with adolescence, right? It's when you become an adult.
You want to take it up, or should we go to voicemail?
It would be like a one-word answer, right? Adolescence is not, right? It's like teenage years.
This is an aside.
You don't have an answer. Just say, I don't know.
Is it okay to go on an aside right now?
Just say, I don't know.
You can always cut it out. I don't know.
Write an essay about it. It's a stupid question. Give me a stupid answer.
There was a psychologist who...
See? Don't write an essay. Marshall, give me a... Just say I don't know or I don't care.
I don't know.
Don't write an
I do
essay.
care. I'll take it up another time.
Okay.
It's something about adolescence, terrible twos, midlife crisis, all that stuff, stages.
Wow, those okay.
Yeah, there's a lot in
interested.
there. But I just opened up the treasure chest so you could get a little glimmer of what's inside
Ew,
there.
Marshall, that's disgusting.
Yeah. Voicemail. Let's
All
keep
right,
moving.
let's get it.
Take a peek. The treasure chest. This episode is brought to you by the Proko Figure Drawing Fundamentals course. Learn the core concepts of drawing through the tradition of figure drawing, a process that will allow you to draw dynamic and three-dimensional people in any position and light them from any angle. This is a course that will walk you through the whole process, from drawing the gesture and motion of the pose, all the way to shading the forms. You'll explore how to simplify the torso into the bean and robo-bean, how to mannequinize the anatomical forms, and how to identify important landmarks on the body. You'll also learn how to measure proportions, exaggerate the pose, and keep your figures balanced. Each lesson includes assignments and example demonstrations, which serve as answers for the assignments. I've even included critique videos with real student assignments, so you can learn from their mistakes. So if you're interested in learning how to draw the human figure, and don't want your drawings to look like this, go to proko.com/figure. I've packed it with lessons and laughs, so you can have fun while learning serious drawing skills. Okay, back to the podcast. Okay, I don't need this anymore.
No. Let's do voicemail.
Hey, DraftsMEN podcast. This is Paul. I've been teaching myself to draw for the past couple of years, and I just started the Proko Premium Figure Drawing course about 4 or 5 months ago. Definitely seeing an improvement, but I guess the question I want to ask is, at what point do I know that it's time to move to the next level? I downloaded the art model packs, and I follow a lot of the exercises, and it never really seems like the output of the exercises I'm doing is quite where I'd want them to be in order to move to the next level, so to speak.
Imposter syndrome.
So how do I know when I'm ready to push to the next level? Thank you.
You never know.
I got a quick answer.
Yeah.
It's when it's too easy.
That's too late. That's too late to move on. If that's what the rule people will follow, they're gonna spend a year on my bean exercise.
How do you
Yeah.
mean?
Well, he's going through the figure course,
Yeah.
right? So you start with gesture, then you move on to the bean.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, yeah, people would just keep doing gesture for years. When is gesture easy? After many, many years.
Okay.
Right? So it's going to take them several years to go through my figure drawing course. I don't know. I don't think so. I think you need to go through the whole thing, even when gesture isn't easy yet. You need to introduce yourself to the bean and the row bean, mannequinization, balance, all that stuff, and then go back and do it again and keep doing all those exercises. The figure course, or the anatomy course, most of the courses we're going to do are not meant to just be like, okay, you do this lesson and now you're a master at gesture. Not meant to be like that. Art, I mean, that's kind of the issue with the way colleges try to teach art, is that it's like you take a course once and you're done with it, and then you don't do it again. Mm-hmm. But with the atelier system, or with good art schools like in St. Petersburg, they just do the same thing for 4 years. Mm-hmm. Because that's what it takes. But you're focusing on many different things while you're doing the same thing.
And you have a mentor there who's gradually easing you,
sure,
prodding you forward.
Yes, they do. But I mean, the same thing applies when you're doing it at home on your own. You're not just going to do gesture for like a month and then never do it again. You're going to be doing gesture for the next 20 years. I mean, for the rest of your life, you should. You should just constantly be practicing gesture. It's like, it's a 2-minute sketch. It's like, if you're doing like a concept for an illustration, you might start with the really quick gesture of the pose you're thinking about, and there you go. That's your gesture. You're always doing that.
Here's something that goes back to the thing about when it gets too easy, you should move on.
Okay.
Dorian Iten was the one who introduced me to this, but it was from someone else's teaching. It was from a book. I can't remember who, Carol Dweck maybe. There's an area where you're really comfortable, and there's an area where it'll break you apart. And it is where these things overlap. Enough comfort to feel like I can do it, and enough challenge to make me a little scared that I can't, where growth takes place.
Yeah.
That's why I suggested that when you say, I've got this, enough,
yeah,
move to something that's harder. And I don't think that it's wrong to have a plateau of comfort for a while. Say, hey, I'm just enjoying the fact that I can do this.
Yeah.
But you don't want to stay there if you're going to grow.
Yeah, if you want to grow, you don't stay there.
Yeah.
If you're happy where you are, you could stay there. But I think that I would spend a maximum of 2 weeks on one of my lessons. Even if you're still kind of confused with gesture, move on to the bean. Spend most 2 weeks on it. Move on to the robo bean. Because sometimes the robo bean will help you understand the bean.
The idea is to keep moving so that one thing builds on another, rather than to stop.
Structure can help you understand gesture.
Yeah.
So if you're stuck on gesture, you don't want to move on to structure until you totally get structure, you're never going to get it.
Yeah.
Because these things are all intertwined.
There's also an argument to be made to always get the macro view first. If you go into a museum, particularly a big museum, and you just look at everything you're interested in, that can be very enjoyable, but it also can make it so that if you've got any kind of a time limit, you're never going to see the museum because you stop in one room. It's harder to do this, but to go into a museum and get the overview of the whole museum and limit yourself to say, I've got the whole look of this. Now I'm going to go back and I'm going to selectively choose the areas that I will meander in and linger in. And I think it's that way with learning anything. That's why to look at the table of contents of a book before reading the book, and maybe even, it may seem crazy, but to spend 10 or 15 minutes just on that table of contents so that you can see whether this author has a train of thought that is really worth submitting to, can give you the macro view before you go in there and spend all that time on the micro view. You're getting a map of the forest before you go in and wander.
Yeah.
And
but even while you're wandering, don't camp out for too long.
Mm-hmm. But you designed that figure drawing course so that it does lead from one to another to another to another.
It does, but it's not meant to never revisit. It's more of like, it leads you to the next tool, the next exercise that you will be doing forever.
Yeah.
You're always going to have to keep thinking about mannequinization and structure. They're just fundamental things.
Writers talk about this in crafting a story, that if you're going to write a first draft, write a first draft. Get through it. It's in contrast to the person who says, I've been working on my novel for the last 2 to 3 years and I've never gotten past the first page because I keep rewriting and rewriting that paragraph to make it perfect. Well, you can't, there's no way you can get a macro view of it when you're stuck in one area. And the process of creating is related to the process of learning, that if you want to learn a discipline, to get that whole overview early on, then go back.
How many times have you gone over anatomy? Like just gone through the whole body and spent several days on each part? How many times have you gone back to relearn stuff?
Oh, when you say to relearn it,
for example, like the first time you're going through anatomy, you're completely clueless and you're just getting like very, very basic things about anatomy.
Yeah.
And then you probably took a break at some, for a little bit, and then you're like, ooh, I need to improve my anatomy. And then you went back and you relearned a little more.
Yeah.
And then you went back again and you learned more. Like, how many times do you think you've done that?
Oh, you mean with me? Yeah, I've taught it over 40 times.
Okay, so you were forced to just keep reiterating.
That's right, because that's my job.
Yeah, but every time you taught it, you probably got better at it yourself, right?
Well, not necessarily. Sometimes, but here's the thing, though, that in these last few stages, now, we've talked about this a number of times. Bridgman stuff has me so excited about personalizing the forms. That's what makes me excited about it, is that I feel like you got the conscious competence. Wouldn't it be nice if you could then start to invent and try to get something that's personally exciting out of what you could do with the figures? But back to the he's talking about going through the figure drawing course.
Yeah.
If you're new to this, you figure how long did you design that course to be done?
6 months ish. But again, it depends. Depends on how many times you've already gone through it.
Yeah.
It depends on your current skill level. You could spend a few days on each lesson and go through it in a month if you've already been introduced to all these concepts and now you're just kind of using it to level up a little bit. It depends.
I'm trying to grasp at some kind of ideal way to prescribe the training.
There isn't. Why? Why are you trying to do that?
Because I'm compelled from internal motivations to make it so that this question is well answered.
Were you not happy with my answer? At most
I am.
2 weeks on each lesson.
Yeah.
And
2 weeks on each lesson adds up to 6 months? Or a year?
Probably more. But
about
that's
a year.
what I'm saying, at most.
Yeah. Well, in a life drawing class in a
definitely
college,
more.
Life drawing class in a college is what? About 4 months. And so to double that and say, I'm going to get this from the online course. I don't know any life drawing course in a college that can have that much dense information as what you've given. And that's the one you recommend for people to start with.
Yes, currently.
Yeah.
Once my basics course is out, you start with that one, then move on to figure.
Okay.
But right now, the figure drawing class is my most fundamental class. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's gesture, bean, robo bean, mannequinization, landmarks, balance, and then shading.
You had some anatomy in there too.
Landmarks, I think, was the only anatomy.
Okay. So what's the takeaway for this?
Don't think you have to be done with a lesson. You're not done with it. You're always gonna be improving on each one, even after you're onto the next one.
Yeah, think of it as like a cycle that keeps spinning instead of something that's a straight line.
And not even necessarily a cycle. It's not like you're only working on one. While you're working on mannequinization, you're gonna also be working on gesture at the same time, because mannequinizing the body involves also the pose. And the pose is heavily tied into the gesture of the pose. So you can't mannequinize the body without thinking a little bit of gesture. So you're not completely moving on. You're still going to be improving all the ones before it. You're still practicing them. So it's not a cycle where you just do one at a time. You're just adding another ball while you're juggling all these balls.
Okay.
The order that we have in the course is gesture, bean, structure, landmarks, robo bean, mannequinization, balance, exaggeration, proportion, and
exaggeration and proportion. I missed those. So there's like 10. Yeah. Anyway, whatever. Let's move on.
Okay. To what? Another voicemail?
Oh, actually,
that was a
and then
voicemail.
shading was down below. I didn't even see that. That's
so
in a
like-
separate segment. So
Jeez.
11.
Okay. Oh, so 11. 2 weeks on each one would be a total of like 22 weeks, which is about 6 months total.
Okay.
That's good. 2 weeks on each.
Yeah.
I like that.
You got your answer.
You got your answer. Oh, Marshall.
Another voicemail?
No.
What?
What's your thing? We've done it. Why do you always want another voicemail?
Because I'm not prepared with anything that I've given any thought to for a thing. Let's see. What was... Let me go back over what we talked about. We talked about imposter syndrome. We talked about copying and photo bashing.
Tracing.
Let me tell you what I'm really into, almost obsessively. It's lasted for years, and it is the effect of wide-angle lenses and telephoto lenses.
Okay.
Wide-angle lenses up close,
Yeah.
telephoto lenses from far back, and how they change the way things look. To me, it is surreally fascinating that you can have the same object and yet it looks completely different in a way when you get up close versus far back. And yesterday, Brandon and I shot that cathedral model and did the whole trajectory thing of close up, far away, and I just never get tired of how interesting that proximity effect, that exaggeration of close and far gets. How about you, Stan? What's your thing?
Since I have my flip-flops on.
Yeah, wow, that's a shock.
My thing is sand in my shoes.
Sand in your shoes is actually the thing that you're going to introduce to this?
Yeah.
Elaborate.
It's so stupid, but I'm going to go with it.
I'm interested.
Maybe not even sand, a rock in my shoe.
Ooh.
I was walking to work
several
weeks ago.
Okay.
And I had a really tiny pebble in my shoe. And I didn't take it out. Because it reminded me of my childhood.
Really?
Yeah.
It did that. It brought you
was
back
like,
to having rocks
remember
in
when
your
you play in the dirt or in the sand and you get a rock in your shoe and you're like, oh no, and you got to take it out and you got to pour it out in your shoe. When's the last time you did that?
Well, I actually have done that. I wasn't as consciously aware that I
When
was
did you
reliving
take
my
your
childhood.
shoe off and have to pour something out of it?
Oh, it's been a year or two.
Oh,
perhaps.
really?
Yeah.
Wow. So you're active outside.
Well, I do walk in the Aliso
Or you have a hole in your
wilderness. Yeah. But
Nice.
this was, you were embracing some
It's like, oh man, this reminds me of childhood. I'll keep it in there.
inconvenience in the memory of in honor of your childhood.
Eventually I took it out. I was like, screw this. I'm taking that rock out. But I went a full half hour.
Oh, that's
taking
great.
it out, yeah.
I admire you for this.
Yeah.
And also, when you take a rock out, you could deliberately put rocks in your shoes so that when you take them out, you feel so relieved from it.
Yeah.
It's a volunteered handicap. I was trying to get something profound out of this.
Oh, no, there isn't. It's just...
Well, there's childhood memory,
Yeah, there you
rocks
go.
in your shoes, doing it deliberately.
I wasn't doing it deliberately.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You were embracing it, though.
Sure.
Okay.
Marshall,
Thank you for that.
I would ask you not to talk into your finger.
Oh, you mean don't
Stop
lose?
talking into your finger.
How does it sound when I do that?
Oh,
Anything
yeah.
worthwhile? Well, hey,
Brandon, how did that sound?
we're talking about childhood.
How is that related to childhood?
Because that's what we did when we were kids. You didn't do that kind of thing where you talk into a cup and do the...
Oh, with a string connecting two different cups?
Yeah, and all sorts of things like that.
No.
You didn't go around the
Because
house
when
and
you were
talk
young,
into
you
different
didn't
things.
have telephones.
We did have telephones when I was young. Yes.
Oh, you did?
That brings up the whole thing of prank calls and how somebody...
You prank called people with a cup on a string.
Well,
Hey, it's Marsha. No, it's not. It's Marshall.
okay.
You get my joke? I changed your name a little bit.
Yeah.
That was my joke. I feel like an imposter.
I'd like to affirm you.
Well, since most people have already turned this episode off, we might as well say goodbye.
They prove themselves wise and ahead of the curve.
Marshall, what did I just say
Marshall,
about your
stop
finger?
talking
what
into your
did you
finger.
say? Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm
I love how he's like, what did I just say?
I'm reaching competence with a microphone. It's not quite there at conscious competence.
You're unconsciously incompetent.
What should
And he's trying to get you to consciously be incompetent.
let's not dwell on it. What should people write in the comments?
When was the last time you had a rock in your shoe?
Okay. Or
No, I'm just kidding. It should be something about imposter syndrome.
yeah, photo bashing, imposter syndrome.
Do you think tracing is copying? Do you think photo bashing is cheating?
We'll get yeses and nos and qualifications.
That's what we want. We just want a bunch of comments so that our video will get popular.
Oh, okay. So it's a
Yeah.
marketing strategy.
Oh, this
thing.
is,
Okay.
yeah. Someone made that comment before.
What?
That, like, the whole reason that we're telling people to comment is so that our video will be more popular.
Is that true?
Well, it's partially true, of
I
course.
didn't know anything about that. I didn't know that it makes more popular when you get more comments. It makes the algorithms change.
Right.
I didn't.
Unconsciously competent.
Yeah.
You're unaware of
consciously
how much you know.
incompetent. Yes.
Well, yes, partially, of course. It's a business, but even if we didn't get any value out of it, I would still like to engage the community with questions because, like, let's say I don't read all the comments. I do read comments, but let's say I didn't. It's still helpful to all the people participating in the
Yeah,
discussion.
it creates a little community.
Yeah.
Oh, well, here's...
I mean, what's the harm? I don't get it.
with success stories can be inspiring. So to know that some people who've done really well have had their doubts might be encouraging to people who struggle with imposter syndrome.
Sure, yeah, cool.
Okay?
I like that. And of course,
if you're inclined to give us a 5-star rating,
it improves every week.
yeah, we appreciate it.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah, we're getting there. In like season 5, he's gonna be like, "You fools better give us 5 stars."
No. That's
You're gonna get there,
That's
Marshall.
not going to happen. Maybe in character.
Yeah, in character.
In character.
But
yeah.
right now, you're probably even you won't even do it in character. You're
I
too
won't. Yeah.
nervous to do
Just
that.
give me another couple years.
A couple seasons. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
We're still in season 1.
That's right. We are. We're new to this.
Yeah. Okay,
Fledglings.
bye everyone.
Yeah. Bye.